Well, welcome to Tuesday. You know, Jesus was the greatest teacher that ever lived. The words that came out of his mouth astonished people. And often when he would finish a teaching, people would walk away silent. They would say things like are recorded in Mark chapter 1, verse 22. People would say, nobody ever taught with this kind of authority. Nobody ever taught with this kind of wisdom and insight. Nobody ever did that ever before. And all day long on Tuesday, because it was right near the end of Jesus' life, all day long on Tuesday he taught. And Tuesday was the last day that Jesus did any teaching. That was it. And many of us, I should say all of us, are Bronco fans, or we should be. So we remember when the greatest quarterback of all time finally walked off the field, Peyton Manning. Some of us remember his last pass. But when he walked off that field for the last time, that was a monumentous occasion when he hung it up. And nobody would argue that no one taught like Jesus ever before. Nobody had that communication style. There wasn't the power of teaching, of his ability, in anyone else. In fact, entire judicial systems, entire civilizations are based on his teaching. So Tuesday was the last day that Jesus would ever teach. He knew the shortness of his own life. And so what do you think he taught on that final day as the sun was starting to go down? I'll give you one example. It's found in Matthew 25, the parable of the talents. Jesus said, there's this rich landowner who was going away for a long time. So he called in 3 of his favorite servants, and he gave them each a sum of money. He gave one $5,000 or the equivalent to that in that day, and another $3,000 and another $1,000. And he said, guys, I want you to take this. I'm going to be gone a long time. I believe in you. You've got talents. You have abilities. I want you to go out, take risks. I want you to stretch it. I want you to multiply it. And when I come back, I'll see how you've done. And he leaves, the landowner, and the 3 guys leave. And the landowner comes back a long time later. Jesus says, and he calls these 3 servants before him. And the one with $5,000, he says, landowner, I had a ball. I did exactly what you said. I stretched myself. I took risks. I developed my potential. Here's the $5,000 back, and here's 5 more. And Jesus says the landowner commended him for that. And the one with the $3,000, he gives it back to the landowner, and 3 more, gives him back $6,000. And then the one with the $1,000 gives back $1,000. That's it. And the landowner says, what'd you do? And he says, I didn't do much. I didn't want to lose the money you had given me. And in fact, I wasn't that motivated to take any risks. I took that money. I hid it in my basement. So here it is. Here's the $1,000 back. And Jesus says, the landowner severely rebuked him for that. And the listeners to this teaching, they all said, Jesus, what's that about? What's that parable about? Give us the meaning. And you got to remember, Jesus knows he's days away from dying. And he knows the shortness of his own life. And so when they ask him to tell them what the parable is about, he says this. He says, you live once, one time. Get that straight. You live one time, that's it. You've got talents, you've got abilities that I've given you. And I believe in you. You have loves, you have passions, you have interests. Go out, develop those things. Do something with your one and only life. Figure out what you can do to make the world a better place. Figure out how you can build the church, how you can advance the kingdom of God. But whatever you do, don't squander your one and only life. Don't be like this 3rd guy who played it safe and hid his talents. You go out and figure out how with my help you can make the world a better place. Make your one and only life count. Pretty strong, huh? Pretty strong. I think he would say to everybody watching this video, if he were sitting in this seat, he'd say, one time is all you have. One time. Make your one and only life count. And then the sun went down. And Jesus stopped teaching. And that was Tuesday.